This is a great city, and I'm the Biden of Brooklyn, and I'm sure if you were to ask him what is his favorite mayor, he'll clearly tell you it's Eric. We just, we just really like each other.
Yes, Democrat Mayor Eric Adams. He's the Biden of Brooklyn. Poor Brooklyn. Sad, sad Brooklyn. Uh-huh. Yes, Mayor Eric Adams. That was a while back. That was a couple of years ago. He's the Biden of Brooklyn. Now he's going to be the Biden of Cell Block D. And the ironic thing, perhaps, is that he's accused of doing what the Biden family's been doing for years. That is taking money, taking bribes, as they are sometimes known in the political realm and the legal realm, from foreign interests that are looking to get something. From Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, and from Joe Biden, the president of the United States. And boy, it sure paid off for the Ukrainians, hasn't it? They had hundreds of billions of dollars in return. And, oh, boy, we're all in with endless war. Just the war should never end because a lot of people are making a lot of money off of this. In Ukraine, in Brooklyn, they're making lots of money all over the place. Wah, wah, wah. Man, oh, Manischewitz. Let's go because I've got a little more. We're standing by. Eric Adams in New York is allegedly headed to the microphones after his indictment because now he's been indicted, which reminded me that we've got a D.C. city councilman who's a Democrat. His name is Trayon White. He is an anti-Semite and a racist, but it's okay because he's African-American and he's a Democrat, and he's been elected repeatedly as a Washington, D.C. city councilman, our nation's capital. Isn't it amazing? And when you're a Democrat, it's no big deal. He's the guy who said that the Rothschilds family, a Jewish banking family from Europe, make it snow. They make it snow. And they control the weather. That's so they can control you. Eric Adams, when he learned that he was going to be indicted today, and now he's officially been indicted, he posted a video. He put a little video out. Eric Adams, the Democrat mayor of New York, on his looming indictment.
My fellow New Yorkers, it is now my belief that the federal government intends to charge me with crimes. If so, these charges will be entirely false.
They're false.
Based on lies.
I didn't do it. Lies, all lies,
but they
I
would
say.
not be surprising.
Won't be surprising.
I always knew that if I stood my ground for all of you, that I would be a target.
That's right.
Target.
Why?
Became.
Because he stood his ground, and that's why they came for him, because he's a defender of the faith. It's like the Holy Crusades, and he's Lancelot, or at least Lance sometimes, and just amazing stuff. The mayor yesterday, he's the victim. He's the victim in all this because people are being mean to him because he stood up for the little guy, and that's why the Biden administration, Justice Department, and the FBI, they raided his home. They went in and they took his cell phone today, and it's not the first time they've taken his cell phone. And they've gotten a bunch of other people in his administration who are corrupt also. And yesterday he's out there and he's. Can you go to him right now? Is that what you're saying? All right, because he just came out to a tent. It's raining there. Boy, when it rains, it pours in New York City. And Mayor Eric Adams is out there, but we're having some tent. Let's go to yesterday's thing because that we have. And Eric Adams, he is. Let's not lose sight of who the real victim is here, and it's him.
I have been fighting injustice my entire life.
You have?
That fight has continued as your mayor. Despite our pleas, when the federal government did nothing as its broken immigration policies overloaded our shelter system with no relief, I put the people of New York before party and politics.
See, it's the illegal aliens, and it's true a bunch of illegal aliens were thrown into New York City. And he did raise an eyebrow about that for a minute. And, in fact, I talked about it at the time. He he deviated from the party line, and he said, wow, we're really getting overrun by illegal aliens. He didn't say illegal aliens. He said new Democrat voters or something like that. But he made comments about it, and lickety-split in no time at all. The FBI was up his dress like Bill Clinton at a cheerleaders conference. It was completely crazy. But it's true, the FBI came out of nowhere the timing just happened to be at the same time that he started complaining about the Biden administration filling New York City with thousands of illegal aliens. And suddenly, boom, just like that. Isn't that amazing? Wah, wah, wah. Yes, sir. But no problem, because he's a Democrat. And the Eric Adams yesterday in New York City.
Now, if I am charged, many may say I should resign because I cannot manage the city while fighting the case. I can also understand how everyday New Yorkers will be concerned that I cannot do my job while I face accusation. But I have been facing these lies for months. Since I began to speak out for all of you, and their investigation started.
Such lies. They're lying. Why are they lying about me? They're lying. They're lying. I didn't do anything. And but they have, the timing. They're a very corrupt political party and racist, too. And Mayor Eric Adams is African-American. He's a former police captain. And then he was the state senator. He was a state senator, a Democrat state senator. Then the Brooklyn borough president or something like that. And, he's just learning the ropes on how to be real corrupt, because that's how these things go. Now, it started last year, November of last year, I think, when all this started, when on November 2nd of 2023, FBI agents searched the Brooklyn home of Breonna Suggs, who was his fundraiser. You remember this? The woman who was his top fundraiser, and the FBI raided like there was something real going on there. But Breonna Suggs, she had her home raided in November of last year. And on that same day, the FBI swarmed the home of a former Turkish Airlines executive. One of the countries he's accused of taking bribes from is Turkey. Turkey. I love Turkey. And, the country. I'm sorry. Well, I love Turkey. My best girl and I went to Istanbul on vacation a few years ago. Had the time of our lives in Istanbul. It was great fun. Love that. But that's not important right now. So the FBI, the same day, they raided the home of a Turkish Airlines executive. And the Turkish airline executive had been on the mayor's transition team. And when they say transition in this case, that doesn't mean gender. That's not gender in this case. And then on November 6th, 4 days after that, the FBI seized Mayor Adams' electronic devices, his iPad and his cell phone, November of last year. They seized his cell phone again today, the FBI did. Then on February 29th of this year, FBI agents, again, another raid, raided the home of Winnie Greco. Winnie Greco. Winnie, it might be Greco, but Winnie Greco, one of Adams' top aides. The FBI raided her home in February of this year. And then in July of this year, federal prosecutors served Eric Adams' grand jury subpoenas. Democrats don't have to obey subpoenas, though. Who was it? Which cabinet secretary defied a congressional subpoena yesterday? Was it? They do it all the time when they're Democrats. It doesn't matter. September 4th of this year, not very long ago at all. And the FBI searched the homes of two of the mayor's closest aides. Then on September 12th, the police commissioner for the NYPD resigned, caught up in the middle of all this, and he's the police commissioner of New York. If you're a police officer, it's the coolest job in the world, right? I mean, literally in the world, if you're a top dog police officer. NYPD commissioner, and he resigned on September 12th, a couple of weeks ago. And September 14th, the City Hall chief counsel resigned. And so it doesn't look like things are going very well for Mayor Adams. And Mayor Adams just came out and went to the microphones under a white plastic tent because it's raining. And he brought along some celeb power because it's all a terrible TV show. But here's what Mayor Adams had to say just a couple of minutes ago.
First of all, I want to thank you for being here this morning, and I want to thank the supporters of all ethnic groups that I hear, particularly
ethnic groups,
the men and women of the clergy that's here.
What about white
that
people?
Have joined me here today.
Are white people an ethnic group
And
that you're thanking?
we are not surprised.
We are not. The royal we.
Expected this.
We expect. Well, sure.
This is not surprising
I expected
to
it.
us at all.
So I'm sure
The
you
actions
expected
that
it.
have unfolded over the last 10 months.
Yeah,
the leaks,
somebody says. Call and response.
Commentary. The demonizing.
He's been demonized.
This did not surprise us that we reached this day.
Try being Trump for a day.
And I ask New Yorkers to wait to hear our defense before making any judgments.
All right.
In about 30 minutes, you're going to hear a story of the case that is in front of us. The story will come from the federal prosecutor.
In about 30 minutes.
And I ask to wait and hear
press conference.
Our side to this narrative.
I'm in favor of that.
From here, my attorneys will take care of the case so I can take care of the city.
So I'm not going to talk about it anymore.
My day will not change. I will continue to do the job for 8.3 million New Yorkers that I was elected to do.
8.3.
And
Amen.
the 300,000 plus employees of our city government.
What about the illegal aliens?
Continue to do their job.
How about gang members?
This is what we do as New Yorkers. It's an insult to the hardworking people of the city that anyone would say that they won't do their jobs while this case proceeds in the background. They are dedicated public servants, and I have been one of them for many years.
Many years.
And they're going to continue to do their job, moving the city forward every day.
You know, the way things are going.
It's an unfortunate day.
He might be innocent.
And it's a painful day. Yes. But inside of all of that, it's a day when we will finally reveal why for 10 months I have gone through this.
Why?
And I look forward to defending myself and defending the people of this city.
He looks forward to defending
as
himself.
I've done throughout my entire professional career.
His professional career,
I want
that's
to
right.
now turn it over to the person who started me on this journey.
The
Reverend
district attorney,
Daughtry.
the FBI director. That's just amazing. What a country we have here, huh? And it's always the Democrats. Now, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she was a bartender in New York City for a period of time, and then she won a contest and became a member of Congress. And I'm not talking about the election. I'm talking about the Democrat Party choosing her because they wanted to date her. And her brother entered her into a contest. This literally happened. It's how she made her way to Congress. Democrats put up a contest online and said, anybody you think should be a member of Congress? And her brother, AOC's brother, said, well, my sister's a bartender. She should be a member of Congress because, you know, what are the standards for Democrats anyway? That's a paraphrase, I think, but amazing. So AOC now says she's got a Twitter. On X, she hasn't been banned. She probably should be. She said, I do not see how Mayor Adams can continue to govern New York City. The flood of resignations and vacancies are threatening government function. Nonstop investigations will make it impossible to recruit and retain a qualified administration. For the good of the city, he should resign. And then they really are just the party of anarchy and civil war, aren't they? Just crazy. The thing is, the FBI is about as trustworthy as the Democrat Party at this point because there are so many Democrat Party reps at the higher echelons of the FBI. That's the problem. You see it right there. But again, I'm not going to rule out that he's completely innocent because we're a third world country at this point. There are so many lefties here that, honestly, I sure hope the Democrats don't burn a lot of police cars today over this, loot a lot of businesses. You know how they like to do that. Very fond of doing that, aren't they? You know that football season is here, you may have noticed, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action while you're watching football. The app is incredibly easy to use. You pick 2 or more players across any sport, and more or less. You pick more or less on their projections, and you could win up to 100 times your money. And all withdrawals are secure, they're safe, they're fast. You're going to love them, too. Not only that, but Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy app with injury insurance. Chris, what is injury insurance? Well, if one of your players goes down in the first half, then Prize Picks doesn't count it as a loss for you. So download the Prize Picks app today and use the code PLANT. That's my last name. You're going to get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. That's the code PLANT on Prize Picks to get $50 credit instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to get the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be present in certain states to play, and visit prizepicks.com for details and restrictions. Yes, sir. Yeah, well, the Democrats just provide nonstop entertainment, don't they? By way of criminal activity. And again, I've got to ask the question, why is he indicted and the Biden family's just going to dinner tonight? Biden family's been raking in, $27 million now. The House of Representatives revealed recently in their investigation. The news media doesn't care because they're so corrupt. $27 million. How much is Eric Adams accused of taking in? And why is the Biden family not getting the same treatment from the FBI?
I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. This is the place to be, New York City. This is it. As Jay-Z said, if you can make it anywhere, if you make it here, you can make it anywhere.
That's not an exact Jay-Z quote. He thinks Jay-Z came up with New York. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. All right, let's go to the. Should we go to the phones? Let's go to Neil calling from Brooklyn, New York, and my clock is ticking out loud, Neil, but I want to get you in here, buddy.
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
So everybody knew Eric Adams was going to be a pretty bad mayor based on his vocal record while he was the police officer. But what's happening now is the Biden-Harris regime is sending a strong message to all the other demon rats that they better toe the line when it comes to this illegal flood of filthy criminal international illegal migrants. You better like it, you better shut up, and you better take your cut. Now, Eric Adams complained. He was really the only one to complain about the illegals. But he did this while he was skimming his cut at the same time. So,
Democrat Party, and then they nailed him immediately.
DC keep talking about we're a resilient city, and that's a model based off the Rothschilds controlling the climate. To create natural disasters, they can pay for it and own the cities, man. Be careful.
That's right. Damn Rothschilds, those Jews, they control the weather. They create snow, and then they cause disasters so they can control the city. That's Washington, D.C. City Councilman Trayon White. I think he might be an anti-Semite. I don't want to leap to any conclusions here. That was a couple of years ago, but a couple of weeks ago, D.C. City Councilman Trayon White was arrested. He was arrested for what, Michael? For what? He was arrested on bribery, for bribery. The federal government, as you might imagine, they arrested D.C. Democrat City Councilman Trayon White, representing Ward 8 in our beautiful city, and arrested on criminal complaint charging him with bribery. The D.C. City Council, for their part, they stripped him of his committee chairmanship. They did. He's a Democrat. Did I mention that he's a Democrat? And they, because of these bribery charges and the federal government investigation, Trayon White has pleaded not guilty, I should say, to the charges. He pled not guilty. But the D.C. City Council stripped Trayon White of his chairmanship, as a $400,000 bribery probe was ongoing. And they, just a couple of weeks ago, it was September 18th, actually, that they stripped him of his chairmanship of the committee. And it's interesting because he was the chair of the Bribery and Graft Committee. He was the head of bribery and skimming and graft because, the Democrats, they're not good at much, but they're good at bribery and scams and all that kind of stuff. And now the mayor of New York, he's having a bad day too. And it's raining, just to add insult to injury. Not only is he being indicted by the federal government, but, and now they've, the federal government, they got their guy out there, Damian Williams, the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. And he's an African-American. He's a POC. He's POC. He could go to that library conference in Minnesota as a POC if he wanted to. But, whenever they're gonna come after the black guy, they always have a black guy be the front man too, or a black woman. So then they can't be accused of what they always accuse people of, because you know how that goes. Just amazing stuff. Yeah, so Mayor Eric Adams indicted in New York City. Who's next? That's a great album, isn't it? Yes, it is. So he's indicted. He's facing bribery and taking money from international interests, foreign interests, and Joe Biden and the Biden family, they make Eric Adams look like a piker, no matter what they're accusing Eric Adams of. And again, the brilliant Neil from Brooklyn, and I'm sorry, maybe I should have waited until after the break to go to Neil, because Neil is great, brilliant man, lives in Brooklyn, New York, and I've spoken to him many times over the years, and he's pointing out that Eric Adams stood up and pounded the table about all the illegal aliens being dumped in New York City, and moments later, boom, the FBI raids began in New York. First on his fundraising lady, and that was really lickety-split. That was the first one, and it was very quick. After Eric Adams came out and spoke out loud about what the Biden-Harris administration, what they were doing to New York City by dumping all these illegal aliens. And now we saw the arrests in Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard for all the illegal alien child rapists, literally. 4 of them arrested just in the past handful of days, just on Nantucket Island and Martha's Vineyard, raping, sexually assaulting children, because, the Democrats are making everything better. Now, I'm not saying Eric Adams didn't take all these bribes, but would they have and scammed things and done illegal things? He may very well have done all of that, for all I know. But they left it alone until he spoke up and deviated from the party line. You're not allowed to deviate from the party line. See what I'm saying? And that's what Neil in Brooklyn was calling to point out, and he's 100% correct. You cross the Democrat Party will use all of the power available to them, the bureaucracy, the departments and agencies, to assail their political enemies and those that have become inconvenient to the party, because that's what happens in third world countries when the left takes over. And I've been warning for years now that the left is the precursor, the leading indicator of third worldism. And the Democrat Party has been taken over by genuine lefties, by authentic lefties. And they are the Democrat Party. And now that the Democrat Party is in charge and they have all of their people dug in, wheedled in at the departments and agencies, from the felonious 51 that signed that corrupt criminal letter saying that the Hunter Biden laptop had all the earmarks of Russian disinformation on the lead up to Election Day, intimidating a collaborative and cooperative media. We live in a very corrupt country. I'm sorry to have to report from our nation's capital, from Washington, D.C., but it's true. Our government is corrupt all over the place. Our news media is the most corrupt institution in America. The corrupt government couldn't get away with it if we had a legitimate fourth estate, a legitimate news media. Sadly, we do not. And that is really the auto-corrupt button for everything. You get the media in the bag. In other countries, like the Soviet Union, the media was fake. It was stood up by the government, and there was a gun to their head. in Iran, there's a gun to their head, so the media can't be truthful, although there is some there that risk their lives to tell the truth. And in the United States of America, the so-called mainstream news media, and only so-called, they are the most corrupt people. If you know any of them, then you know what I'm talking about. Just extraordinary. Extraordinary stuff. And, of course, Joe Biden's Commerce Secretary yesterday, day before yesterday, saying that President Trump has to be extinguished permanently. That's what she said, and that's okay.
It's just another lie. Like, how did we get here? Let's extinguish him for good.
Extinguish him for good. Now, the idiot anchor sitting there on MSDNC let her finish and then said, "You mean by voting him out?" She's like, yeah, by voting him out. How many times does, do people have to show up with rifles before the left, the most murderous death cult in the history of humankind, literally, that's not hyperbole, and how many times does their opponent, and again, I know that a great many people, because I keep talking to people, are concerned that President Trump is in greater danger now than he was before. Just amazing stuff. Now, Joe Biden, it turns out, is still president of the United States, almost inexplicably, but it's true. And Joe Biden was landing. They love it when there's helicopter noise behind him or jet airplane noise behind him, Air Force One or Marine One. And then it's amazing. They're actually asking a question every now and then. They've asked probably fewer questions of Joe Biden during these last 4 years than any other president in history. But the corruption is everywhere. So here's Joe Biden yesterday, and this idiot statement where he says, and they deliberately make it hard to hear because they know he's an idiot and he might say things that will embarrass him and embarrass them. But I actually have a transcript of it. So let's go to the dim-witted president of the United States, Joseph Robinette Biden, with Marine One behind him, apparently on the south lawn of the White House last night. On Israel, they've got, because Hezbollah, funded by Iran funded by Joe Biden and the Democrats, Hezbollah is raining missiles and rockets down on Israel in an effort to kill every Israeli in the country because they're genocidal lunatics. And Joe Biden has this phony, baloney, lip service, 21-day ceasefire proposal that absolutely nobody's taking seriously.
We put out a statement for a 21-day ceasefire along the Israeli-Lebanese border to be able to generate significant support from Europe as well as the Arab nations.
Lie.
It's important that war not widen.
Yeah, it's important that this war not widen. And that's it. That's the little lip service for about 15 seconds. We put out a statement, he said, for a 21-day ceasefire. Really? You idiot. Along the Israeli-Lebanese border. Well, that's kind of stupid because they're firing rockets and those are in the air and those are over there. They don't walk across like illegal alien gang members at our southern border. To be able to generate significant support, he says, from Europe as well as the Arab nations. What do you mean to be able to? You put out a statement to be able to generate significant support? There is no such support from Europe as well as the Arab nations. The Europeans will pay it lip service. Yeah, ceasefire now. Sure, more than ever. Isn't that great? It's important that this war not widen. Sure, that's Joe Biden. And that's all that they have. Now, where are the peace talks taking place? At your phony, baloney United Nations and in Geneva? I'd rather go to Geneva than New York for the peace talks. And the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, a real man, an alpha male, and they put out a statement. He said, the report about the supposed directive to moderate the fighting in the north is also the opposite of the truth. The Prime Minister instructed the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, to continue the fighting with full force and according to the plans presented to him. And the IDF struck 75 Hezbollah targets in Lebanon yesterday. But pay no attention to that. So It's that our president is a joke. Our administration is a joke. Our government, sadly and tragically, in this critical time in human history, is a terrible joke. They sent Cobble Kirby out, too, you know. Cobble Kirby is a disgraced former naval officer who is now a shill for, whoever tells him to say whatever. And there shouldn't be war in the Middle East, and we're against it.
What we want to see is no all-out war between Israel and Lebanon.
Really?
If the goal is to get the families back to their homes, get businesses back up in those kibbutzes and villages, we believe that a war is not the best way to do that. That there should be, can be, and ought to be time and space for a diplomatic solution here, and we're going to continue to work on it.
Where's our Secretary of State then? And honestly, where is we haven't seen him in weeks, and he's not doing anything. And there's a war in Europe, there's a war in the Middle East, and our chief diplomats are absolutely AWOL, nowhere to be found, an embarrassment, a disgrace, and they're Democrats. The biggest problem in the world today is not Hezbollah, it's not Hamas, it's not even Iran, it's the U.S. government. And their absolute ineptitude, their abject failure to accomplish anything positive anywhere. Amazing. Joe Biden was on The View yesterday, another hard-hitting interview on The View. The Democrats, life is very different for the Democrats. And they gave him a foot massage and a bit of a rum down. They talked about the hair on his legs, and he called them cockroaches. That was kind of weird. Joe Biden with, it's all about the peace.
What have these past 2 months felt like, and are you at peace with your decision?
Well, I am at peace.
I am at peace. He said, really, the world is not. I'm glad that you are. Weekend at Biden's. Absolutely amazing. And then he's getting cutesy because it turns out he's old, and he figured that out.
Did you feel that your hand was forced, and what is your relationship with Speaker Pelosi now?
Our relationship is fine. Look, that wasn't the reason that I stepped down. I stepped down because I started thinking about it. You
started thinking about it.
It's hard to think of, I know you're only 30. But it's hard to think of, it's hard for me to even say how old I am. No, I'm serious.
No, I'm serious. Whenever he says, no, I'm serious, you know that he's not serious. All right, let's see. Let's go to a phone call. Let's go to line 3. Let's talk to Pete. Pete, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. How are you? I haven't talked to you since we were on the ship, I think. But
on the high seas.
On the high seas. Hey, real quick, I want to thank you for pitching my book a couple of weeks ago. I thank you very much for that. What I wanted to call about was this issue with Iran and this these plots against President Trump. Isn't that an active war? Don't we already have an active war on the part of Iran? I mean, we invaded Iraq because Saddam Hussein, tried to assassinate George Bush the elder. Why have we not done anything in the past 4 years when Iran, supposedly, according to the intelligence community, they know for a fact that Iran is trying to assassinate President Trump. You've got 2 individuals who have overseas connections that have tried to assassinate President Trump. We're not doing anything about it.
Why do you think that is, Pete?
Well, I consider the fact that the Biden administration has given so much money to the Iranians, they can do it. So there's a symptom there. The fact that you were just mentioning a minute ago about Hezbollah and all that, which I think a little bit that I spent a lot of time working on Hezbollah, but Iran is providing all of the missiles, all of the materiel to Hezbollah to attack Israel. Mm-hmm. Hezbollah has killed more Americans pre 2001. I don't know. I can't figure this out other than it's got to be money.
Well, and they don't want Trump on the scene, and Iran is threatening to assassinate Trump, and they're providing the Pakistani man that was arrested in New York a couple of weeks ago that was here to assassinate President Trump at the behest of Iran. He had been spending time in Iran. And the Democrats want Donald Trump out of the picture. Iran wants to assassinate President Trump, and it looks like the U.S. government's not getting in Iran's way, quite honestly. And, they're providing all the rhetoric that has inspired at least 2 Democrats in the United States to try to assassinate President Trump. And I honestly don't trust our government any further than that. Now, Pete, you mentioned your book, and I should mention your book, too. Pete is a now retired FBI agent when the FBI were the good guys and chasing terrorists. His book is Chasing Shadows. Chasing Shadows. And it's great stuff. Peter Ashu, an Arab-American FBI agent, post 9/11 era, and his book, Chasing Shadows. Wonderful. Take a look for it. Thank you, Pete. Get one of the good guys, and plenty of good guys still in the FBI, too. It's the leadership that the Democrats have installed that are the problem. Good talking to you, Pete. I have more fun, I got to say. And it is a great book, Chasing Shadows, since Pete called in. We had all our lines drop out on us, too. We didn't. If you were holding, we didn't hang up on anybody. We just had a major technical dust up there. But an amazing story. Peter Ashu, Pete, FBI special agent, lots of counterterrorism stuff, Arab American, amazing. And let me tell you something, because I was sitting here minding my own business and talking to Pete, and his wife Winnie is wonderful, and they're just great. We know each other from the high seas. And while I was talking to Pete, I got a text from someone else. I'll just call him John G. John G. texted me and said, "Is that Pete Ashu? He's the real deal. He's the real deal." Now, John G. is an intelligence community guy. He is a now former, he's moved on to greener pastures, but a career intelligence person. I'll just leave it at that. And John G. was listening, says, "That Peter Ashu? He's the real deal." And he is. And his great book, Chasing Shadows, it's on Amazon. I'm doing the full plug. I might as well go ahead and do the full plug. It is available on Amazon, and it's great stuff. You'll thank me later. It's great. Lots of craziness going on. I'll be back in about 23 hours for another heap and helping of Democrat crazy.